Hello, I'm Isaac Thatcher, and today, in celebration of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, being released in theaters nationwide tomorrow, I'm going to tell you a brief history of Star Wars and how became huge in American pop culture. Star Wars is created by George Lucas. The first film was, of course, Star Wars, which was released on May 25th, 1977. Star Wars became a massive hit and even surprised George Lucas on the success of the film. After the original, George Lucas added the subtitle Episode 4, A New Hope, which, fun fact, George Lucas wrote and directed by Lucas himself. Then a sequel was made called The Empire Strikes Back. The film was released on May 21st, 1980. It's considered not only one of the best Star Wars films, but one of the best films of all time. Empire Strikes Back was directed by Irving Kershner, produced by Gary Kurtz, and who was also produced the first Star Wars film, and George Lucas wrote the story. Then to conclude this trilogy, George Lucas, alongside director Richard Marquand and producer Howard Kazunji, and with George Lucas returning for the third time as writer, brought us Return of the Jedi. The film was released on May 25th, 1983. This is considered the more weaker of the first three films, but was still a critical and box office success. Now, these three films were called the original trilogy. Why it's called this is because George Lucas wanted to make another trilogy that explained how Anakin Skywalker became the Empire's greatest threat, the Empire's greatest weapon, Darth Vader. So on May 19th, 1999, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was released. The film was just like the original, was written and directed by George Lucas. The film, in the nicest way of saying it, sucked. Now, this wouldn't be the first or last time George Lucas would disappoint us, because on May 16th, 2002, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, was released. The film was also directed and written by George Lucas. And this was worse than Phantom Menace. Then on May 19th, 2005, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, was released. This is probably, if you would compare the first two films in this new trilogy, is the best out of all of them, because it actually shows how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. This set of three films was called the prequel trilogy. Now, most Star Wars fans, when it came to Star Wars, thought it was over, but on October 20th, 2012, a talking mouse named Mickey Mouse gave George Lucas $4 billion to buy Lucasfilm's rights to the Walt Disney Company. Then Disney announced that they would make a new Star Wars trilogy, which would be set 30 years after Return of the Jedi. The first film in this new trilogy was called The Force Awakens, which was released on December 18th of 2015. The film was directed by J.J. Abrams, who also helped write and produce the film. I watched the film and it's really good. The film at the end of its theatrical run grossed $2 billion worldwide. The sequel to Force Awakens is The Last Jedi, which is planned to be released on December 15, 2017, which is tomorrow. This film will be directed and written by Rian Johnson and produced by Kathleen Kennedy and Ram Bergen, with the sequel coming out on December of 2019 with the working title Episode 9. Also, Disney created an anthology film series that will be released between the new trilogy release. The first of the likely of many anthology movies is Rogue One, which was released on December 16, 2016. The film is set before the original Star Wars, when the great battle between an Empire and Rebel Alliance is in back and forth tide. The film was directed by Gareth Edwards. The next anthology movie is Solo, which is about Han Solo and is being released on May 25th, 2018. Well, that's all I have on the current history of Star Wars, on the current history of the Star Wars series. I will conclude this by a famous quote of a Jedi Master. Try not, do or do not. There is no try.